All right, guys, welcome back.
Welcome back.
Season 2, episode 2. Happy to be here. I'm Cindy.
And I'm Paige.
And this is Mom's the Word, where Mom knows best.
Or at least she is trying her best.
She is.
Genuinely. How you doing today? How you feeling?
Doing all right.
Doing all right?
Yeah. Forever, hashtag forever tired.
I'm so tired. Literally.
I feel like we're in the stages of motherhood where it's like, if it's not one thing, it's another.
Into
like
the thick of it.
sleep regression,
Into the thick of it.
teething, all the good things. All the good things always happen. And I'm trying my best. I'm trying to keep up as much as I can. I just feel like I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself to maintain my house all the time, maintain all of these relationships. And I just feel tired.
Tired.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just want to check out.
Yeah, it's
I
hard.
get it.
But then I'm
I
like,
totally
no,
get
don't
it.
check out because then your house is going to be dirty.
And if my house gets dirty, my mental health gets
Yes.
foggy. 'Cause if I don't have a clean space to exist in, I become overstimulated, I get overwhelmed, and then I don't know where to start. And whenever you don't know where to start, it just feels like chaos all the
Oh,
time.
my gosh.
That's how Christmas felt for me. I uploaded that video of
my
my house after
gosh.
Christmas. People were so judgmental.
You know
It was so
what, though?
horrible.
I felt like more people related to that. than not,
Absolutely.
because I looked at that, I was like, oh, my God, my house is like that, too. And I would keep telling people, it's not dirty. It's
No.
just that, things just accumulate.
Yes.
It's just things that need to be put somewhere.
Someone said, this is obvious piles of things that have been there for years. Let's be so freaking for real, first of all. This is not trash. This is not a hoarder home. There were dishes in the sink. Why? Because we had 5 different Christmases to get to, and each of them needed a side dish or a dessert. And I only had so many hours to do
Right.
it, especially because we commute to all of our Christmases.
Yeah.
So, I would wake up, shower myself, get ready, make a side dish, shower every child, get
Yeah.
them ready, iron clothes, and wrap
It's a lot
presents,
to
get
keep up
everybody
with.
in the car, get there on time.
And then also be the magic maker in all of
Hello,
this.
hello.
And then, be the magic maker for your kids,
Yes.
for your husband, for your family. And so
Yes.
you stopping to do the dishes, you're like, no, I want to enjoy this too.
Heck
right?
yeah, I want to
And-
sit on the
yes.
couch and watch them open their presents and see them play with them, and I want to sit there and
Yep.
open them with them and enjoy them. I can do the dishes tomorrow.
That's right.
And I did.
I didn't even go anywhere, and my house was still like that.
Because
Like-
it's busy.
Well, Bear's like, can you open this toy and play it with me? Can you do this? I'm like, absolutely. I'm not going to just you know what? Pause. Let me,
The house is dirty.
No. We did the same thing you did. It just sat for a day, and then we're like, okay, let's all designate something. And Chris helped me, and the kids helped me, and it literally got done within
Oh,
an
it
hour.
felt so good.
And then I was like, yes.
I was like, don't touch anything.
Done for 2024.
When the mom lights the candle, you don't touch a single thing. I was like, if any of you touch the sink, I swear. Because it's so stressful and overwhelming.
And it's always
you're the one that's
cleaning, and then my
cleaning it.
husband's like, oh, here's this bowl.
Sorry, I just finished this.
It's actually usually Bear. Chris is really good about cleaning up after himself. Bear's like, I got 14 water bottles from my bedroom.
Vance with 30 towels. I'd be like, where did all of our towels go? And in his room, there's a bunch of crunchy, stale towels. Who knows how long they've been there? So, no.
What in the world? That was
Get ready. Buckle up, baby.
Not ready.
It's a coming.
Good word choice.
I have regrets. I have major
literally the best play on words. Anyways, not with Paige. She's fully in teenage boy. She has 2 of them.
They're disgusting.
She just regretted that whole sentence
I'm
just
so much
now.
regret right now.
The other day, I'm on the phone with Paige, and one of her sons comes in and gives her a hug, and she goes, ew, are you wearing your dad's cologne?
Literally,
And I was like,
yeah.
wait, you don't want him to smell good? And she goes, I don't want him to smell like my husband.
Please get your own cologne. Officially, I was like, Mark, you can't wear that anymore because you and Vance smell the same, and that's weird.
And he wants all those really good men colognes now. She was
Tell me
telling
why
me.
this child spent $200 on one bottle of cologne.
Because he wants to smell good for the ladies.
Because apparently that's the thing now with the teenagers is having a cologne stash, and it's his money. Who am I to say you cannot spend $200 on that? I bought stupid shit whenever I was his age. It's his Christmas
He's
money.
going to smell really good.
He does. Thank God. It could be worse. It could be on the other end there. He could smell
Back
like
in my day,
butthole.
we had a stash of Axe body.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
fresh on the market.
Oh, yeah.
Chocolate Temptation. Or
I remember
whatever
my
it was.
brother.
That was my cinch. Yeah.
Old Spice swagger.
Hey, listen. Before I was a crunchy dad, I'd use Old Spice. Now I also had horrendous rashes in my tits because of it,
But I smell good.
That's
Seen
right.
the women who use it that it changes their armpit color to gray? Because
No.
it's chemically burning them.
Yeah.
Google it. It's crazy.
I went through the same thing. Not not to defame anybody, it just allegedly, from my stories, Old Spice would like burn my skin. I would have chemical burns from it. Yeah. Now I use a deodorant that I get
I literally,
A big spray, like to me, is like, look, she's about to bring it.
I
But
literally
isn't it
have
just the spray, or is it that too?
It's deodorant.
I switched to Native.
And you know what? The first
Not a brand deal,
thing-
guys. I just
Native
switched
spray.
to Native
I
because
smell like onions when I wear that.
you got to detox
That's
your
because you're
armpits.
detoxing.
No,
Yeah.
bullshit. I did the detox. I did the stupid
need to do it
clay.
again.
I did it for weeks.
No, you're gonna have to keep one. 'Cause
I can't.
It
I cannot
messes
go
up your.
through weeks
You
of
guys,
smelling like
I
an
did
onion.
research on deodorant, and don't quote me, okay? Because I'm not professional.
Allegedly.
It throws your hormones off big time, right? And so like I would put on the deodorant, and I swear to you, I would feel my like ovaries like. I swear, and so I stopped using it because I have a lot of hormonal issues, and I have felt better about my armpits, and and the stench does go away, and it's hard because your husband's gonna be like, "What is that smell?"
Gotta detox.
Yes, and it took me a while to detox, but now, mighty fine.
The onion, a lot of people will relate to the onion smell. I always
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
I smell like Sonic French fries right now. It's
Yeah.
just not
Yeah,
happening.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You got to get it out of your system.
not tasty.
Allegedly, allegedly, yeah.
For my body is what I'm saying, guys. It doesn't work okay for everybody, I guess. I don't know.
We would never demean a wonderful corporation.
Do what works for you, okay?
Exactly. For me, it's Dove. And the occasional travel size swagger.
She stole that from her husband.
I did. I did. You know what? Reduce, reuse, recycle.
God. So lately, I have been feeling like I'm on social media, right? I am a creator. You are a creator.
Yeah.
Well, lately, I feel like when I'm going on to like Instagram or TikTok in general, I'll scroll and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm behind on everything.
What do you mean?
I'm like, so like, for instance, there's already moms who have bought like Valentine's Day outfits, Easter outfits, and I'm just like,
Jay over there with his Easter outfits
I'm
he
like,
showed us the other
I
day.
am behind. Or their houses are like on trend with like, you know, what's new this year. And I feel like, oh no, I'm feeling less than.
You are
for some
not
reason.
behind.
And I feel
And
that
you
way.
are not less than because
Right?
you have a different path than those mothers.
And, okay, and I can tell myself that, but it's really hard, right? And so, like, my reminder is that, like, people who aren't bringing you joy, to let them go, right? And so, like,
Absolutely.
I feel like I'll get on, I'll see these, like, all these kids dressed beautifully, and here are mine, like, Bear's dressing himself, the baby has spit up on them. But I just feel like I try to keep up with them.
But are your kids happy?
Absolutely.
Are they healthy?
Yeah.
Are they fed?
Absolutely.
Are you enjoying your time with them?
Yes.
Then you're doing a fucking
And
good
I
job.
feel that when I'm in my home, right? But it's just like almost like when you were little, you got influenced by people, right? Like
Yeah.
you wanted to be like what they were doing, and so like it's easy to fall into that. You're like, wow, this mom looks like she has it together. Her kids are dressed, you know, she's making homeschool look really easy. She's doing this, and you feel like you're not,
Right.
And like it's something like I like to tell myself that like I try to make myself super mom, and they call it like super mom syndrome, where you
Yeah.
try to keep up, you try to like even if you're tired, you're like, well, I still have to do it. Like you're almost like gaslighting yourself to think you have to do things you don't have to do all of
Yeah.
the time, or you feel like, well, everybody else can do it, why can't I?
Right. And then you do feel less than.
Yes.
And then it really is a struggle with your own internal self. Like, am I being a good enough mom? Am I producing the magic?
Doing enough?
Right.
Yes.
You know, I get
Yes.
that. I get that.
And so like the comparison has been hard. And so it's hard because like I am a full-time creator.
Yeah.
So I'm like, are people looking at me that way? And I hope not, because you see me on social media, I'm in like a moo-moo, my hair's a mess, no
Yeah.
makeup on, chipped nails. And I'm just like, no, I'm being my authentic self. And
I
I
don't
feel
want to
like
be perfect.
moms like me, I need to see that more. And I think it's
Yep.
really important. And that's why I just keep showing up, right? But I also have a hard time, like as a creator, looking at other people. And it's not people that I'm mutuals with. It's usually like these huge creators. Not that I'm not. Don't let that.
I'm name dropping.
But yeah, and I can't even remember their names or nothing, but it's just like, it's hard sometimes to feel like you have to keep up with that. So like any creators who are around me will usually say like, you're the most like relaxed, or like, I'll just pick up the camera, record real quick. Even like breakfast, I'm like, you'll see like other things on my counters. I very much not like that. Like even my appearance, I'm not like that. But I just feel very fortunate that I get to wake up and do it. Like I am so lucky that this
Yeah.
is what I get to do, and people want to watch me. And so like it does make me feel pressure, because I'm like, well, there's days that I'm tired and I don't want to post, and they're like, oh yeah, don't post. But I'm just like, yeah, but I also enjoy. Like it's
Yeah.
my outlet.
Yeah.
Sharing my daily life, what I made my kids for breakfast, is my outlet. Like it's just something I really enjoy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess I just all want to put this in like full circle, that like in 2024, we're still letting go of things that don't make us, feel good about our own selves.
And I say unfollow anyone that does not make you feel good about yourself.
Or makes you angry. If you're following somebody, you're like, what they're doing makes me angry, don't follow them.
It's taking away your peace, whether you know it or not. It is absolutely affecting you, not them. You're just upsetting yourself by consuming content that you do not enjoy.
Yeah.
So to obsess over something like that and to check in on them, to just get angry, that is just affecting you.
And there's someone for everybody.
Yeah.
So if you're following someone and they're, let's say, grocery haul is making you upset that they get to go to Costco and it's making you upset that they get to spend that money, then they're not for you. There's another mom out there who does Aldi hauls and stuff like that. But bigger families, shop bigger things, but like just don't follow it. Cause like even for me, like there's some people who post a Costco haul and I'm like, dang, like $1,000 where I'm like, I'm just posting like mine. But like, again, that's realistic for them.
Yeah.
It is. That's what their kids are going to eat. That's what they're going to do.
People don't understand my
It's
Sam's
food.
hauls.
Food for me is like, go ahead, get your food.
Yeah.
But like, I just feel like we need a reminder, like, don't follow people who make you angry.
Agreed.
If you're mad that they get to go to Costco and you don't follow them.
Yeah.
Because I won't.
There's too many people online for you to be focused on people who upset you. There is somebody in a corner that you will relate to, that will make you feel better and make you feel inspired.
Yes.
And that's really what social media is about, is finding people who are like-minded. It's social so that you can find your social circle, not so that you can consume so many people that upset you.
Yeah.
That's disturbing your peace. You're using social media wrong, in my opinion, if that's what you're doing.
I had the best advice from somebody last year. It said, if you're looking for like fashion advice, go look for those creators who are your size.
Yes.
Don't follow someone because they have good style, but they're not your size. So you're going to get angry when you can't find those things. Follow somebody because you're going to find somebody who's your body type, showing you your stuff. You know what I mean? And that was the best advice for me. Like being able to relate to somebody who gets it, like your insecurities or where you need to cover up. And that is such a good advice. Like, don't just follow someone because they're beautiful and they have all these beautiful things. Like, that's great. But like, follow someone who looks like you, who's going to like actually make you feel good about your body.
Absolutely. Because that's definitely one of the harder things, especially as a mom, is feeling comfortable in your body. I know that it is hit or miss for me whenever I go to the mall and try on clothes. It's either the best day ever because I found something that makes me feel great, or the worst day ever because I tried on 50 things and I felt like shit in all of them and I'm beating myself up, and then I'm crying in the dressing room and I'm feeling like an idiot and I didn't find anything. So then it's the added stress of, well, I needed something for this and I couldn't find anything because my body, and then it's my fault.
Yeah.
And then I'm, self-criticizing, and that can it can make or break my day.
Yeah. And that's been like, so for my whole life, that's been my life. When I was younger, plus size wasn't as normal as it is now. Like there's literally plus size stores now. Like I remember crying in dressing rooms with my mom. And I would want to be like back when we were young, who was it, like Paris Hilton, Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen, and they were gorgeous.
We grew up in a very toxic
But like Hollister did not fit me, but I wanted it. And so now I think it's great for your kids and you to look up to somebody who looks like you. And they're everywhere. So I'm like, oh, this woman is my body type wearing that. I'm going to try it. Instead of like, you know what, Paige had this viral outfit on. It doesn't look right on me, sometimes. Anyways.
Doesn't give you the same joy.
No,
and you should be doing things that bring you joy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, especially in motherhood. Motherhood's hard. Even though it is the most beautiful, rewarding thing I have ever done in my life, I cry at least once a week because it's hard. Because I'm trying to keep up, because I'm trying to create magic, and there's just so many things. And sometimes I don't do exactly what I want it to do. And that can be hard on me because I have an expectation for myself. And if I don't meet that expectation myself, then I'm going to be upset with myself.
I'm saying you're trying to be like more than you are, which then, burns you out.
Yeah,
you're depleted.
burnout's real.
You get overstimulated. And it's a delusion that we give ourselves that like, I can be all of these things, but we don't really have to.
Right. And a lot of the people that you see online as well, especially bigger creators, you'll notice, they have help.
Yes, they do.
They're not doing it alone. They have help.
they
They have
do.
videographers. They have nannies. They have so many different people who are helping them with that perfect white house in their kitchen. So just trust that if you're looking at that and you're like, I can't do that, you're not alone. Me either, baby. I can't do that. And that's okay. My kids are still fed. They're happy. They're in a clean home. They're doing well. They're thriving. And that's what ultimately matters. It doesn't matter if your house looks like your next door neighbor or your favorite creator online.
Yeah, and I get that a lot because I feel like I do share my house in a way that my house is pretty clean most of the time, but I'm definitely not doing it alone. My husband cleans a lot. And even my mom, she's like the most helpful. She'll just come over and start my laundry for me. I'm not doing it alone. But also, I won't do it alone. You guys, I've learned 4 kids back now that I've had a lot of kids that, I'm asking. I'm asking for help. And it's hard in the beginning as a new mom. Oh, but I'm asking. And actually, I'm not even asking. I'm telling, like most of the time, like, I'm tired. You need to do this. You need to help me. And now, like, as you have kids, it's important to like instill that in them too. So like now Bear can go clean his room. He's 7, doesn't fight me one bit. Please go tidy up your room. I've never had to fight with him because it's always been a requirement. Helping in our home is not a thing you're going to get money for. This is our home as a family. We all provide and make our home, or make our house a home. And so like, that's something that like, if you have little ones, instill that now. Like, let's go clean your room together. And if you're sitting there with them, at least like, hey, put this book there, and gradually they're going to get it. You got to get the help. You got to, because then you're going to be burnt out.
Yeah. And I agree with helping your kids when they're overwhelmed by the mess. If a baby comes up to you and is like, hey, I need some help. This is too much for me.
Yes.
I was the kid that was told like, well, I didn't make that mess.
Yeah.
You go clean it. But then I would go sit in that room and be like,
Yeah.
where do I begin?
Well, it's overwhelming. And then you have to teach your kids how to do it.
Yeah.
You can't be like, go clean up that mess. And honestly, sometimes you sit there and then they just do it with you.
Yeah.
Like, let's focus on the books real quick and do this. And then it just gradually comes, right? So, and then same thing with like my husband. I've had to be like, hey, you clean that corner, I'll clean this corner real quick and we'll get it done. And he's never like told me no.
He's home a lot, isn't he?
He now works from home. But this was even when he was working full time as a car salesman. Absolutely not. I'm not letting him, no.
My husband works a lot. So I will say that I take a lot of that load.
And that's okay. Some families are like that. Chris works 12 hours days though until like 3 months ago. And so like, to me, it was never an excuse because my husband always helped me. But my husband was raised that way. He always helped his mom. He always helped his sisters. His dad was sick as a young age, and so Chris had to do those things as a young man. And so he's very aware. But I also tell him, like, hey, let's clean this real quick. I'm very vocal. And like, I don't know, I'm very blunt. You can even ask all my friends. Like, I'm very blunt. And so, I don't know, maybe it's just something I've always done with him. And don't get me wrong, there's some days he wants to chill and do what he wants to do, but I'm like, it'll be quicker if we just do it together. Or tomorrow morning, I want to sleep in. Can you please get up at 8 with the kids? And he'll be like, sure.
Right.
Give me
How do you
anything.
feel about the whole role of like a stay-at-home mom versus a working dad? Do you think that her job is to clean the house alone?
So, I don't. So, like, don't get me wrong. I do think as a stay-at-home mom, there is a lot that we should be able to do.
Yeah.
But absolutely not. I shouldn't think it should just designate to one person.
I agree.
I think that, like, if you're home, like, let's say, like, we clean our house in the morning from 10 to 11. By 4 p.m., when my husband gets home, it's going to be dirty again.
Absolutely.
And so, I do think that, like, it's hard for me because I'm like, there are definitely things that I can do when he was at work. But when he gets home, he's also doing things.
Well, and it's not like you're just sitting around waiting for him to get home before
No.
you even clean.
No.
I think that's the misconception. Like I had somebody commenting, an older woman too, which is crazy to me, and she was comparing me to her daughter and saying like how horrible I was as a person and mother. She was like, well, my daughter works. Okay, so do I. I'm a stay-at-home mom. Yeah, but you don't make money. That's not a real job. That just absolutely irks the shit out of me when people say that being a stay-at-home mom is not a real job. Because unless you've done it, you just have absolutely no idea how hard it is.
I just think every job we do is hard. Working moms have it hella hard.
Yeah.
Stay-at-home moms have it hard.
Yeah.
Part-time moms have it hard.
There's
Like
no
I just
need to compare
I just think that
the
being
load.
a parent.
If you get into the comparison game, you're already losing.
You're
own
losing.
Like,
Yes.
if your husband works, or if your wife works full time, and you're the stay-at-home parent, I see this a lot, and I'm very opinionated on this topic, and I love that you're talking about this, and I'm going to try not to steal the show. But
We want you to, Ben. Take
love
it
it, Ben.
over.
so because of you guys and my wife, I'm not on social media much anymore, but I get recommended a lot of sad beige mom content. But it's always like the struggles of stay-at-home mom and like blah blah. And people are like, well, if you actually calculate out what a stay-at-home mom does, she works 3 jobs, she get paid $90,000. While I agree that's true, once you start quantifying it, then it becomes this competition.
Yeah.
You have become, social media has now triangulated you against your spouse because
Yes.
social media is like, well, you're underpaid, blah blah blah. It's like you can't put parenting, you can't quantify it.
Yes.
Because you have, whether voluntarily or not, if you have a child and you have kept a child and you're going to raise the child, you don't get to say, well, my services are worth this. You are their parent. That's your responsibility. The same way it's your child's responsibility to contribute to your home. It's your responsibility. And what I see a lot of, because I was a stay-at-home dad and an entrepreneur, half and half. I didn't have a 40-hour job that I worked on the weekends to provide for my kids. I was the provider. My income depended on how hard I worked, but I was also with them. I had them fit, I still do 50% of the time. I was a stay-at-home dad, and my house wasn't a wreck. I cooked all of our meals. So what I learned is that, and I really, this might ruffle some feathers.
Ben said it. not me.
Most people,
Insane.
most stay-at-home moms specifically, struggle because they're just unorganized and poor planners. Keeping up a home is like running a business. You have to have it laid out. Like, I don't sit down to eat until I've cleaned every dish.
Yeah, I disagree.
And that's really it's okay to disagree.
I'm gonna disagree
Let
with
me
you there.
let me complete the thought, because I know it's controversial. Like, you have to create systems if you're a stay-at-home parent. You have to create a system and a framework. And like, my wife and I have different systems, and it's great because we were both single parents. So in our house, we're like constantly competing to see who can do the most, but not really. Like, we love each other. I'm like trying to clean, and like she's trying to clean, and we have to like sit down and remind each other, like, hey, I know you were in an environment where there was like a running chart of like whether you were doing enough, and I'm also from that. There's not that anymore. I love that you're helping me, because like the things that I've come from, like, I was always aware that there was like a running list of like a score being kept. Oh, I'm doing more than you here, blah, blah, blah. And so that is not present in our marriage at all. We don't do that. But like, I still, if she's cleaning the garage until 1 a.m, I'm up until 1 a.m. just in case she needs me. Because I can't fathom her coming to find me to help her in the garage and me being like passed out in bed asleep. I can't fathom that.
I feel like though you are, what's that saying? Like you're like a rare circumstance here, right? Because you were a single dad.
Yeah,
she
yeah.
was a single mom.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
And so now
rare,
your dynamics are a little bit different,
I don't
right?
want to pretend like there's being a single parent destroyed a lot of my mindsets. I do want to circle back to what I said, because Paige is stewing over there.
I am on the unplanned and
it's-
unorganized part, because for me, it's not that I'm unplanned or unorganized. Sometimes it's that I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because I'm not the only one making the mess in the house, but for a lot of the times, because my husband works till 7:30 at night every night, I'm the one picking it up, and that can be so overwhelming sometimes. And and I plan out my day, but then also sometimes my mental health is like, screw this. This is too
But I think
much.
Ben's-
your circumstance, your circumstance is unique because you have obviously these older kids, but you also are now in the newborn, like infant, toddler stage. So like, that's a different beast entirely. And something Jay was talking about in our last episode that I love is like, one of the places you can start to help your overwhelm is to declutter your house. Get rid of the 30 million toys. Like our playroom, we have 5 kids, and we have a play kitchen, we have Magnetiles, we have Legos, and then we have assorted toys. But like, they are going to gravitate and float between one of those stations. But at before lunch, after nap, and before we go to bed, we do 3 major cleanups, and all the kids participate. And obviously, like, your kids are young; they can't participate in cleanup. It's all on you. So I'm coming from a position with older kids, and I've trained them like, we're going to stop, we're going to clean, and then you can continue playing. But it's like clean as you go. But decluttering toys was a huge one. It's just staying on top of other chores, and like, I totally get the overwhelm. I was overwhelmed a lot, but I think I know my brain as a man works differently.
The same men and women are also very different.
If I'm overwhelmed, tough shit. Like, I still have to clean the kitchen. And that's not me saying that to you at all, because we are wired so differently. We are wired so differently. But like, if you can create systems and build the habit, it's hard and you're going to be overwhelmed. But I think you're still, as an adult, you're still that kid sitting in your room not knowing where to start.
Yeah.
Your whole house is a mess.
Yeah.
And you are capable of cleaning it all within an hour and a half, I guarantee you. But you can't even get started.
You
can't even get
started.
started.
Ben, I think that Paige is taking what you're saying like left field. So to simplify what you're saying in my way, what I'm thinking is, so I definitely am scheduled and organized.
Yes.
My kids are on a schedule from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed. So explaining it this way, and you're definitely black and white, like, men talk. But I agree. A schedule is important, not the way Ben's explaining it, but I know she has a schedule from the time she wakes up till the time she goes to bed. The problem is we have these little babies that throw us off during the day.
Don't give a shit about my schedule.
Yeah. And so it's important, and you still follow a schedule. It's just sometimes not attainable.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. And
She won't
sometimes
let me
it's
put her
days.
down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so he's in a different season of life than us. And so he's about to be back.
Older kids.
Everybody's situation.
I think all of us-
Before I get destroyed on
Yes.
Reddit for that
No.
topic, like, I'm not saying you're a poor parent.
No.
I'm saying that running a household is fucking difficult.
Yeah.
And it's okay to admit that. And like when my wife was a single parent, whenever I would come over and to hang out with her, her sink was always full of dishes. Always, no matter what. That was not a priority to her. It is always a priority to me, because the kitchen is such a sacred place of preparing food. If it's a mess, I would get overwhelmed. Meanwhile, my desk, cluttered as fuck. Even though I like, that's where I work, I could handle the clutter on my desk because my kitchen was clean. So when we got married, the first couple of months I was really annoyed, because like, I know for a fact I'm going to come home today from recording these podcasts and all the dishes from breakfast are still going to be in the sink. But that's okay.
But you're not going to get mad about it.
No, yeah, and I really had to have a conversation about it, and we fought about it in our first couple months of marriage. And she was like, "I will never prioritize cleaning the kitchen over spending time with my kids." And we fought over that, and I was like, Okay, but that's where we're in partnership.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
Like I'll take care of that
Yeah.
because she is going to do the Valentine's baskets and be super extra
Yeah.
and buy Easter outfits and stuff like that. Like, and I think there's probably a sect of single parents who are listening to this podcast, and like my message is specifically like, you're not a bad parent. Look at your situation. Like, I encourage people to look at it black and white because otherwise you're shitting on yourself. You're like, I'm a terrible parent. No, it's just there are systems that you can build to help you. It's going to take time, but at the end of the day, your kitchen might be clean, but your desk is going to be cluttered.
Right.
Your playroom might be clean, but the kids' bedrooms might be a mess, and that's okay. Prioritize what's important to you, list it out, and then just run it that way.
No.
Like if you have to clean up the kitchen every 3 days, just do that. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Don't
build this pressure
I
on
understand
yourself.
where
Yeah.
you're coming from. Ben's just a little more blunt.
I am, and that's.
But we
yeah.
all try for a schedule. To me, a schedule is really important. But sometimes if the only schedule you can keep is a nap schedule, that's totally cool.
Amen.
That's all I'm going to say. So wherever you fall on this spectrum of where we're at, just know whatever your schedule you're following that day is good enough.
If it works
And you
for
get to the
you,
next day.
It
Yeah.
works.
And if you're watching people on social media who make you feel like a shitty parent, unfollow it. Because the thing is,
That's
I can go
right.
on social media and find somebody who makes me feel like I'm doing a shitty job. Paige can, Cindy can,
Yes.
and like y'all are phenomenal parents.
very
I
much.
really admire y'all. And it's social media can be so terrible, and it's all. If you're watching somebody who is filming their daily routine on a tripod, just take a step back for a second.
Me.
And not to judge it, but like take a step back for a second. There's intentionality behind it. You guys do create content full time.
And honestly,
it is
Sometimes
difficult.
we're moving stuff out of the
Yeah.
way.
I put a tripod there just so that I can clean up. Because
Oh,
it
yes.
does motivate.
Oh, yes.
Because I'll be like,
Just
I gotta
to
get this
clean.
clean. Let me
Yes.
make a video.
But sometimes those creators, I'm not saying you, will move things out of the camera view
Yes.
so it doesn't look cluttered. I know for a fact.
I'm talking about the hyper-produced, elevated,
I know
sad
for a
beige moms.
fact
Yeah.
that your house didn't look like that.
I know for a fact they're not homeschooling their kids in like a dress every single day. Okay.
The ones who get dressed every day, I love y'all. I love my pajamas. I'm gonna stay in my
She's talking
pajamas.
about
I'm
me.
not going anywhere.
Talk about me.
No, you don't do
Yes,
that.
I
I personally
do.
have to get
Not a
dressed. I can't be in
dress.
PJs all day.
Oh, a dress? You should get dressed.
I thought you said
No,
get dressed
like
too.
in a dress.
I don't
Oh,
wear
no.
dresses.
I do
Maybe
get
did
dressed.
Say get dressed. I mean, like fancy wise.
Yeah.
Like
No,
I'm
no,
down
no.
to put on some loungewear.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm gonna be chill. I'm not wearing a dress. I'm
Oh, no.
probably not gonna wear jeans. You know, I don't
Yeah.
really want to be
You,
uncomfortable.
but you know
in
what
my
I can
own
tell
home.
you though, now that I've had a lot of kids, when I had older kids, I'm talking 3 and up, that's older. I was able to get ready every day,
And I
do
think
my
that's-
makeup every
that's
day.
the difference for
Right
me, too.
now, no way.
No way.
I am too tired.
nursing.
I know I'm going to get spit up on.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like you say, your pink comes back. I say about 3, they get more independent. And then you're able to do more things. Cause like there's a time that like when I had 3 and up, I had 4 kids, all 3 and up, and I was able to really knock things out. Like I was able to clean more,
Yeah.
have them somewhere. But when they're this little, no way, I'm picking kids up all day long.
It was something Mark and I talked about whenever we were pregnant. We were just like, oh, Boston's just becoming so independent and like doing his own thing. And I'm feeling like I'm getting my groove back and we're starting over.
Oh yeah.
So that was hard. To be
Yes.
like we're about to start over because this phase of
Yeah.
having a newborn that first year, it's rough. Y'all, it's so hard. You are everything for them.
Yeah.
You're taking care of somebody before yourself.
Yeah.
100%.
Someone who
of the
needs you
time.
100%, but then also having all of these other children who also need you 100%.
And your husband who needs
Oh my
you,
gosh, the balancing
and
act
your
is.
family and your friends and your
And
home. And
I will
all the
say,
things.
like, again, I want to break. Paige, if I offended you, I'm very sorry for that.
You-
No,
if
Ben.
anybody listening, if
Ben.
I offended you, please comment what you think I said so I can provide clarity and apologize. I did
No,
not mean to
Ben.
offend.
we
But
need this
I wanna
dynamic.
say,
we are friends.
We
We're
on the
needed
allowed
same,
that.
on the
to
same
disagree.
token that there are improvements
There's
on the
been
stay-at-home
scared of
mom
y'all.
side that you can do. No, I just like this is still new for me talking
you want me to
and
punch
like
him? I will.
Yeah, I don't want to. I actually don't care if I offend anybody, but I don't want you to be. I don't want you to be upset
Actually-
because you misinterpreted something
I
that I
understand.
said. And so I always love to provide clarity. If I did piss you off for what I said, I'm very sorry for that. It is what it is. But on the same token that there are systems to help the stay-at-home parent, the working parent has a responsibility to the house as well. There may be days that I come to record and she just stays at home. And if that sink is full of dishes, guess what? It's still my responsibility.
I was literally going to say that.
Yeah, you still have a responsibility to your home. Yes, you are the quote-unquote breadwinner. You are still married. You still chose to have children. You don't get to sit on the couch and play 2K until the kids go to bed. You need to take an active role in your children's life.
Yeah.
It's your life is no longer about you.
And
Oh, no.
I
you'll
would
help
love to
your
just play
wife
video
so
games
much.
all the time, but guess what? I'm going to read with my kids. I'm going to jump on the trampoline with my kids. I'm going to take my kids outside and show them how to fix stuff around the house. Like you don't get credits for making the money. That is if that is the dynamic that you guys have settled on. Stay-at-home mom, working parent, or stay-at-home dad, working. That is your role. That is your responsibility. You don't get a pat on the back for doing your job. Do your job, show up, and help at your house.
Yeah.
Help your spouse. Your spouse needs a break because being around children is draining.
Yeah.
And sometimes, even me, and I just look forward to her coming home. Because like, our kids are great. They're really independent. Honestly, like, sometimes I'm like, please play with me.
Yeah.
Like, they kind of are too cool to play with me now. But, like, I'm just happy to see her.
Yeah.
And, like, even though she's exhausted, like, she'll still jump in and help. She'll still make dinner. Like, you are a partnership, a duo. And again, like, it circles back to, you cannot quantify what you're doing at home.
Yeah.
What you're doing at home is part of a large picture.
So that's when she asked me, she's like, do you believe in the roles? I had a hesitation because we don't have that. So like, let's say Chris would work 12-hour days. He would come home and pick up where I was lacking always, no matter what. Yeah. So now that he works shorter days, he still does. We're like a rotation of like, I give 100 when I have it, and he gives what he is. And you've talked about this with parenting, but like we even do it with our housework. He picks up where I am lacking. And also, to us, our financials are not Chris and Cindy. They're our financials. Mm-hmm. So like, be like, oh, Chris got paid. He wouldn't say that. He says, we got paid. Yeah. We are a family. Mm-hmm. So like, that's kind of how our dynamic is. That's why like I hesitated because I'm like, well, no, I don't believe in that. But I'm like, because we don't have it. Yeah. There's never been a conversation, and I'm sure like early in marriage and stuff, but we've gotten to this point where, oh no, he knows where I'm lacking. He picks it up. He knows that like, I could use help. He picks it up. But I think it took us a lot of learning each other's.
Yeah,
and so
to accept it. Like, you can't be like, again, I was guilty of this. I was like, I'm going to set the example for my wife and she'll figure it out. No. The thing is, I was so up my own ass. I didn't see where she was covering my weaknesses. And I had to like, apologize to her
exactly.
for not realizing that like, I was deficient in a lot of ways, and we're just a partnership. And like, we also like we joined together our finances in October of last year because we're both entrepreneurs. We're both, there is not a traditional, I'm the stay-at-home. We flow a lot. And we're both working, and we joined our finances together in October. And like, it has taken that we did get paid. She's like, well, if we're doing this job, like, what are you gonna? There's no. If we're doing a joint video photo job, we are getting paid, and like we don't have joint accounts. Our goal is to pay down all our debt by the time baby boy is here. And like, we've already paid down like $15,000 in just debt, in excess debt. Yeah, and it's like, it's that you have to join together with your partner. You cannot keep score. And there are obviously circumstances where like, maybe you're married to a narcissist, maybe you're married to somebody who like is trying to create a power dynamic.
Or you feel comfortable separate. Some people do.
Yeah, some people we feel comfortable being separate.
It didn't work for us.
Especially because Mark's big thing is like, he likes to order me things or pick up random flowers, and I'm the person that checks the bank account a lot, and he's like, I don't want you to know that I've done those things. He's like, if you need money, I'll give you money, or vice versa. And we have separate things also, like that we take care of financially. Like financially for him, he takes care of the house bills, I take care of the groceries, the kids things, the clothes, anything like that.
So that works for your dynamic though. That would never work for us. Yeah. So like for us, all of our money's in one spot. It doesn't matter what we're spending. We both see the account. And so like we pay everything together. And it's just like one. I've never even thought of having a separate unit because I feel like, to me, in our relationship, and that's okay. It works for a lot of people. It works for a lot of people. I've never had that trauma. My parents shared an account. And I hear it does. And so I'm very fortunate that Chris is not like that. From literally we got married the next day we joined our accounts, and he's never made me feel bad about anything about money financially.
There's this
just one account.
YouTuber that I follow. His name's Caleb Hammer. And he does financial audits of people, and like his big advice to couples typically is like, join your finance. I highly recommend him. If you like, he kind of made it click for me and my wife watching. It's the same format. He just financially audits people all over the board. He's got like influencers, he's got Twitch streamers, he's got people with insane debt loads, and he just like lays out his goal in his podcast is like, let's look at your debt, let's look at your income, here's what we're gonna do, here's how. And like, he doesn't end a podcast saying, yeah, you're screwed. What he's done is he's laid out, it's gonna take you 7.5 years to pay off all your debt, but you can do it. You're gonna have to sacrifice a little bit, but you can do it. And so when we saw that podcast and watched his videos, we sat down together and we laid out all of our debt, and like, it was a gut punch at first, We're like, God, how did we let ourselves get in this situation? Yeah. Now it's like a game. We're just like working our butts off every month, and like we're just so we have a beginning of the month finance meeting and an end of the month finance meeting, and like seeing the progress we've made on our debt is like, it's nuts. We're gonna be able to like start putting down for a down payment way sooner than we thought, and we're going to be able.
Comes with age a lot too, like, and not necessarily. Not everybody's smart with their money, but it took me and my husband a long time too. Like when we were younger, we had credit cards. We now have no credit cards. Like we are a credit card free home. If we don't have the money, we're not buying it. Right. Like we just don't.
We have an emergency credit card.
Yeah. I will not, because we have gotten to debt with that credit card. Absolutely never doing that again. And so, no, if I don't got the money, I don't need it. That's how I kind of go through it. And that's why the one account is it. Like, I can see what we got, and it works for
There's
us.
different things, Herb. I mean,
Yes.
some people use, like, credit is a game.
Yes.
And once you learn how to play the game, it can be really beneficial.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I learned in business, like, I don't pay out of pocket for anything in my business. I'm financing equipment, 0% down. I just bought a countertop for my coffee shop in Anchorage. No interest for 24 months.
I just did the same thing with my bed frame.
And people
were
are
like, why would
good.
you finance it? And I was like, well, it's 0 interest for 24 months. It's $40 a month.
Yeah.
And you have to pay that amount.
Yes.
Don't pay the minimum.
Yes.
The minimum is designed
Yes.
to screw you. Wait, I take this like, $10,000 countertop divided by 24. Those are the payments that I'm going to make, not the minimum payment.
Yes.
Because they want me to screw up. And I did this with some camera equipment, I'll say, in my youth. I did not stay on top of it. And all my interest rolled into my bill after 12 months. And I went from owing $3,000 on this camera equipment to owing $4,400 on this camera equipment. So it's like,
Interest will kill you.
and if you can, again, I'm not trying to make this a Caleb Hammer plug, but like his big thing is he'll analyze you and say you can be a credit card person or you cannot be a credit card person.
There's people who are good.
there
They can
are
like,
people who are
they will literally pay all their bills so they can get like air flights and things like that, and just make sure they're on top of it. They're like really great with it.
Yeah.
I could never. Like, I don't know. My mind can't keep up.
It would be girl math for me. I'd be like, well, I have $1,000.
Oh, it was. That's when I had my first Old Navy credit card. I can spend. That was my first one. Everybody gets
JC
it.
Penney's.
Everybody gets it, and like literally paid that forever.
American Eagle.
So I'm like, anyways,
then
do what
we
works for your guys'
credit
family.
cards, man.
Yeah,
Tell us how-
I was 18 years old, and I'm like, oh, I'm getting a credit card.
No, see, I didn't have any credit, so they wouldn't even give me one.
I think
And
that was my
never-
first thing.
Never the person to get one. I just got one for Nebraska Furniture Mart, and it's literally just for the bed frame. I did the
I
same
love
thing with my
NFM. It's
BBL.
so great.
People think that was crazy that I financed it. People are like, how? How did you find Care Credit? It was literally through Care Credit. You could do that at a medical office, at a dentist office. You could do it for cosmetic procedures. You could do
Yeah.
it for medically necessary procedures. You can do it for anything. It was like $200 a month, and it was interest free.
Yeah.
Why not? So, yeah.
Well, communication's key, though, guys. Whatever works with you and your partner, that's what's going to work. Because separate accounts do work. I hear a lot of relationships work that way, and some just do not. So
Yeah.
it's whatever. So I do have a story to share that kind of ties into what we've been talking about.
Yeah, I haven't even heard this.
And so I think we can bring in Jay for this one because I'd love to hear his opinion on this. So we're going to bring in.
Come on in, Daddy J.
I'm really excited. All right, guys, we got Jay here. We have Dad's perspective with
Yes.
Daddy Jay. So I wanted to read the story with him because I felt like he'll have a really great side of this as well. This is kind of what we've been discussing. So I had a mom reach out to me on Instagram. She didn't say if I could use her name, so I'm not going to because I don't know if I can.
Anonymous.
Yes. She
Yes.
says, hi, Paige and Cindy. First of all, I love y'all, and I look up to you so much. I love your podcast. It's been really great and informative. All right. So I have been feeling alone. I have a 3-year-old and a baby who is now 6 months old. I love being a mom, but I feel like I'm the only one who cares about our kids and our home. My husband doesn't do anything for either kids unless I specifically ask him to do so. I am part-time working as well, and my husband works full-time, and I still have to do everything. For the past 3 years of having children, he has never put them to sleep, never makes them meals, and never offers to even change diapers. I have to ask him to do those things, and then I have to tell him how to do them. And when it comes to playing with the kids, I have to help him figure out how to play with the kids. And the only break that I get is to run to the store or at work, and I even make sure the kids are napping. This has been wearing on me. This week I have told him that I asked him to start putting our 3-year-old down since it's gotten simple now. He goes down pretty quickly. And when he went in there, he couldn't get her down and told me, sorry, I lost track. He told me, you can get her down faster. You just go do it. So I handed him my half-asleep baby who I was nursing, and I said, just rock her until I'll be back. He went to the kitchen with the light on, made food, woke her up, so I had to nurse her to sleep again. This is where I have begun to find myself upset and defeated. I think I now have a resentment towards him, and I've become snappy. I know he works hard for us, but I feel I do too. I guess I just want to get this out and vent because it makes me feel alone to see other moms with such helpful spouses. I don't know what to do or if I'm even doing the right thing, but I'm finding myself getting more angry.
That is a lot.
That's a lot.
That is a lot to unpack, and it's very important.
So I wanted to read this because I feel like I've gotten that comment a lot from people like, well, your husband helps you so much,
Yeah.
you know? And so I feel bad for those moms who are like, I don't have that. I don't have a village. I don't have a husband helping me. So I'm just like,
I think it's granted, and then I also think that's that's what happens when we really don't communicate. Like when we don't communicate with our partner or within ourselves or within our family member, if we're not truthful about how we're really feeling, it can boil in, and then you will start resenting those people. And also resenting yourself because you're not being true to communicating and saying, this is not okay, or something's wrong and I'm not sure how to change it or how to even start.
I think it can be very frustrating because you're not a single parent, but you feel like you are. And that can be very frustrating. Just because you see somebody with a partner doesn't mean that their partner helps. And that can be so exhausting to feel like a single parent, but to have somebody else there around you, especially when you ask them for help and you tell them, hey, this is the easiest way to do this, and they just do something different, and then it's like 3 steps back. So then you feel like, well, screw this, I'm just going to do it myself, because if I ask them to do it, they're just going to make it harder for me. They're just going to wake up the baby and we're back to square one, and it can be very, very frustrating. Communicating that is going to be the main key to keeping yourself from being resentful, because they're not mind readers. A lot of men, unfortunately, do believe, because of the way that it was years and years and years ago, that the stay-at-home mom should be able to do everything by herself. And I think that expressing just genuine frustration can get you so far. It's unfortunate if you express it and your husband fights back on it.
Right.
If he doesn't hear you, if he doesn't listen to you, and he can't see how overwhelmed and burnt out you are, that can be very frustrating.
Yeah.
I
will like fully validate her feelings, because at the end she said, she's like,
Real what she's feeling.
like at the end she had put, I just don't know if I'm doing the right thing or if I'm overreacting.
No,
You're definitely not.
You're not
don't
overreacting
gaslight
at
yourself.
all,
Yes.
please.
And if there's a confrontation, which I totally believe there should be a very healthy confrontation, if
Right.
you're told that you are being disrespectful or being dishonoring, like, be aware that those are real red flag behaviors. Because I hear the story so much, and as Jay, as active dads, like, it really pisses me off. I hate that dads are labeled as incompetent, but we are rightfully labeled as incompetent because idiots like this compose like 90% of the dads. And unfortunately, I see like churches really validating lazy dads. Like, I think everybody preaches on like Ephesians 5:33, where it's like, I literally have it pulled up, so don't get it wrong. Each one of you must also love his wife as he loves himself, and the wife must respect or submit to her husband. And
I wish you'd make me try.
So the thing is, if that's the dynamic you want, you have to be worth respecting as a man.
Yeah.
You cannot be a lazy piece of shit and demand that your wife respect you. Why would she respect you? You're not worth respecting.
And she didn't make those kids alone.
No.
She didn't. And it is just willing incompetence, because putting kids to sleep is not hard. What are you gonna? Again, are you gonna go play 2K on the couch? You're gonna go you're gonna go watch porn in your office? What are you doing? Like, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing.
But it's just like the fact that she's asking him, like, can you do
That's
this?
the word,
I'm like,
it's his responsibility.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, what is it? I almost got pissed off like Paige.
I know. I felt boiling. Y'all were boiling over here.
He
That
went
just-
into the kitchen
Yes.
with the light on to make food. He did that shit on purpose.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
and I don't.
I think
She
that's
has
where
to
I started
re-nurse
to
the
get
baby
sweaty.
to get the baby to
Yeah.
sleep. I'm like,
My wife will be triggered listening to this because it will
Yeah.
throw her for me.
I think so many mothers are right now being like, that motherfucker.
I know. That's why I wanted to
That's
read it, 'cause
how
I
I
was like,
feel. Yeah, that's so frustrating. And you're right to have resentment
Oh,
towards
yeah.
him.
Yeah.
And you're right to feel frustrated with him, because not only is it frustrating because as a partner, he's not picking up his part. As a dad, he's not.
Yeah.
He's not just hurting you. He's also not bonding with your children.
Yeah,
and
that's
that can be
so
very
hard. He's
difficult.
hurting himself in the long
yes,
run.
in the long run, your children are going to run to you and know that they can trust you and find comfort in you and not him.
yeah. And listen, like, now that you're fully aware of what's going on, it isn't going to change unless you got to have, like Ben was saying, that confrontational conversation, because you're only going to be more resentful as time goes on. Because now
Yeah.
you're seeing it. You're like, dang, he just went in the kitchen and woke my baby up. I had to put the baby to bed.
Or you're going to get frustrated and you're going to go, well, he just can't do it, so I'm just going to do it myself. And I
Right.
think that a lot of the times that people will say, oh, that's weaponized incompetence and that men do it on purpose. No, sometimes it's just incompetence. Sometimes they're not trying to be weaponized. Sometimes they genuinely just don't know. And that's okay, because they don't have a maternal instinct like
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah.
So sometimes we do have to tell them, and we do have to make up those extra steps to be like, hey, I need you to do this. But if you ask him to do that and then he's sabotaging it at the same time, girl, I would be
What do you
cussing.
think, Jay?
I think that the important part is communication, and that's what I wanted to talk about today. So I love this
Yeah.
story. Communication is so important within a relationship and obviously within yourself. I think that the first thing that I think about when we think about communication is not everybody knows how to communicate.
Right.
One, and
Yeah.
then two, not everybody was taught how to communicate. Some people were raised in households where it wasn't healthy, where you could speak up, you could
Right.
freely say how you felt without being put down or feeling less than, and that's very hard, because sometimes when someone is trying to learn how to communicate and you're trying to communicate and then people don't validate your feelings or put you down, it makes you not want to communicate. And so in this story, it does make me extremely sad, and sometimes I do get some comments, and actually a family member will say, but Kyler helps you so much. And my partner does not do that. And I'm like, well, Kyler and I have communicated from the beginning. What is it that we want to accomplish? It's both of our children. We both went into this together, and we're a partnership. And so where can we help each other out? And so the advice that I would give is to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes having those conversations is easier said than done, because if you don't even know how to communicate, you're like, how do I even start to have this conversation?
Especially
and then
when
you
you're
feel so much
frustrated.
anxiety.
Yes.
You feel so much resentment, and the emotions are so high. And then sometimes, if you're a crier, like you want to cry, and then that kind of messes up the conversation, because now you're crying and you lost your train of thought.
Yes.
One of the things that we do in corporate America is a discussion planner. And I know that it might be silly, but sometimes people who do not know how to communicate or get out their feelings have to put pen to paper and say, what is it that I am trying to accomplish,
My
right?
key
especially
points.
Especially if you're the type of person that you might cry or
That's
you
me.
don't know how to communicate. Write down a piece of paper and say, what is it that what is the situation that I want to change or to speak about? And what are some things that I like, and what are some things that I need to change, and try to have that discussion. It might be silly for you to think like, oh, I'm going to show up with a piece of paper. But if that's what's going to help to have
Stay on topic. Yeah.
have a conversation where, because sometimes you have a conversation, you're like, crap, I totally forgot about that, or my emotions got the best of me, and I really
That's what I
didn't
was
even
going to say.
finish.
You get so emotional
Yes.
that you forget all the key points that are going on, because then you're just feeling it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you're like, I didn't even get my point across because things were thrown in so much.
Yeah.
And then they start to respond to you, and you lose your train of thought,
Yeah.
or you get frustrated at their response.
Yeah.
That can be hard.
So I
Right,
think
so-
that's an important one. What's it called again?
A discussion planner.
A discussion planner.
Yeah,
So like
we
kind of
have-
like therapy. Was it? Yeah. I feel like that's a good one. I put a list together of things like you could do to like, and don't quote me, like, I just feel like having the conversation is really important. Even if you think it's going to be controversial. I think like some simple things to do before it gets too out of hand. And like I know that I've done these, and you guys probably have, or you should do them. To me, like one of the things that you could do is like to kind of break the ice is to try to sit down and delegate responsibilities. Sometimes maybe he doesn't know, which sounds stupid, but maybe he doesn't know that you want help in these areas of your life. Delegate like 1-2 responsibilities, like I need you to put her to bed, and even if it takes, a couple times, I need you to pick up after dinner.
You have to learn how to do this.
Yeah.
You do. And
I-
explaining it just like that, like
Yeah.
you have to learn how to do this.
And it sounds very morbid, but I have said to Mark before, if I die, can you take care of our kids? What vitamins do they get every day? When do they go to sleep? What is their nap schedule? Do
Yeah.
they have allergies?
Yeah.
There's so many things that as a dad you also need to know, because he's relying on his wife always being there. And as we know, life is incredibly short and unpredictable, and you could be gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that you're leaving your children with somebody who you can trust and that they trust.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely important that you have a conversation with
Absolutely.
him completely.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because you said the husband and wife. Obviously, for Kyler and I, we're both men, and so we really don't have those traditional gender norms where it's like, oh, you're the mom, so you have to do X, Y, Z. No, we're both men, we're both the dads, right? And so we kind of share the responsibility, and we've kind of set what responsibilities both and I have, right? But in a heterosexual couple, it might be a little bit different because of the gender norms to say a woman does this and a man does this,
Okay.
right? But at the end of the day, the communication is going to be the biggest important part, because sometimes I even think about, for example, in this story, the husband, I wonder if that's probably how he was raised, and that's
Yeah.
kind of what he saw, right? And then
Yeah.
if they don't know how to communicate, so I always try to look at the person's intent. Right, so when I'm upset or anything, I try to say, what is the person's intentions? And so let's say, for example, Kyler is doing something and I say, is his intent to be harmful? Is it a bad intent? The answer is no. Then it's like, okay, what is the root cause behind that as to what I can determine? Because sometimes, like, say, for example, if the person's never taught how to communicate and then you're upset with your partner because they don't communicate, it's like, well, they really don't know how.
Right.
Right? Similar like with our children. If we don't teach our children how to communicate, they're not going to be able to communicate their feelings with us or tell us how they feel.
Yeah.
So we have to teach them. And sometimes, unfortunately, in our relationships, you might be in a relationship where you do know how to communicate very well and your partner does not.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, he doesn't give me what he needs. Well, because he doesn't really know how. He's never had that example and he doesn't know how to communicate. So then you have to say, okay, let's get back to the strategy. Is like, well, in order for me to really get what I need and to get it resolved, maybe we need to work on communication. Maybe we need to get on therapy so we can get on the same point. Because sometimes what happens is if one person's really good at communicating and one is not, this person's going to run circles around this person.
Yeah.
And this person is just going to go left. And then this person is feeling like he doesn't care about my feelings.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, he doesn't know how to communicate them. So he might feel them, but he might not know how to communicate.
Yeah. That's why, like, we keep saying that communication. But, like, even sometimes for me, it's like asking the question, like, not instead of, like, delegating it out, like, I'm struggling. What can you do to help me around the house? Like,
Yeah.
what do you think that you can do to take off of me? And then maybe they'll name something you didn't think of, you know? But I just feel like that conversation's just going to have to be had.
It's
so
going to be
hard.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard, but you need it.
And you have to
Yes.
get uncomfortable to get comfortable. These
Yeah.
situations
You want your
within your
relationship
partner,
to-
within
yes.
your friendships, you have to get uncomfortable to say, this is exactly what's bothering me, and
Yes.
we need to figure out a plan or a solution because this is not
It's
working
only
for
going to
me.
get worse.
Yeah.
Right? And in my personal opinion, if you bring your concern to a friendship or your partner, and it's important to you, that person, if they value your friendship or the relationship, they would put in the work and
Yeah.
listen to you to make sure
I
that
agree.
they make that change in order to happen. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, right?
Right.
If your dynamic is completely different and you want them to switch, it's not going to happen overnight, right? We're creatures of habit and we are already that. So to break a habit takes a long time and you
Yeah.
have to put
Yeah.
in the work. But if it's important to that person, to both of them or just to you, then you will put that work and you will see it come out.
Yeah. Ooh, girl.
But that is
I
deep.
wish I could hug
I
you.
know. Thank you for
a
sharing
hug
all this.
and a
'cause
prayer,
I know that you're not alone. Is what
You're
I can
not
tell
alone.
you. Is that I think a lot of people are feeling that, or they feel it's too late. Like, well, I've done everything for 3 years. You know, what can I change now? But you can. You can.
You definitely can. I mean, any
Maybe-
situation can change. Nothing is permanent or this is how it has
Yeah.
to be.
And maybe he needs to watch you put the baby down.
Yes.
Maybe he needs to
Together.
observe so that he can see, what are you doing different than what I was doing?
Right.
How come it's so easy for you, but it's not for me?
Well, let me show
Maybe
you.
he's frustrated
Yeah,
because he
exactly.
doesn't have,
I
yeah, he
love
may
that,
not
dude.
have that
Yes.
maternal instinct. So
love that.
it could be that he's just so frustrated and he's also embarrassed and doesn't want to
Yes.
come to you and say,
Yeah.
I don't feel like I can do this.
Yeah.
Instead, he's just like,
And he could
you're
be
just so
proud.
good at it, you might as well.
Uh-huh.
He could be very proudful to
The same
say,
thing,
I
like-
feel like a
Yeah.
failure.
Oh, yeah.
So then I'm just going to put it off to her because I feel like a failure if I admit I
Yeah.
don't know my children's nap
Mm-hmm.
style or whatever it does. And so then they might be too proud to speak about that. But I would say, well, let's do it together. Let's,
Exactly.
let's
Yeah.
show you
Exactly.
how.
And at that point, if he says no, there's doggy. This place is so pet friendly. There's like 4 different dogs here right now, and I'm going berserk
I
watching
needed
them.
that little
I thought
break.
he was gonna
But
help
talk
us.
him in.
Considered a golden doodle?
He
He
is
said he literally came to your arms.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, okay, he's good.
sweet
Anyways,
baby.
sweet mama. We wish we could
Yes.
hug you, and you're not alone.
The one thing
Yeah.
I will say is hopefully she has a friend or someone
Yeah.
close. Because sometimes with difficult conversations,
Yes.
and you know it's going to get intense, hopefully you have that friend that you can call and say, Cindy Page, girl, I'm about to tell Daddy Kyler something, and
Yeah.
it is intense,
Yeah.
and I know it's going to be a lot, and
Yeah.
can we just kind of role play or just talk about it a little, help me gather my feelings, so that way when I go into this, I'm
Yeah.
a little bit more, if you have a thing, you have a direct path of how to get to that conversation, or if
Yes.
you've role played, you at least have a little bit of the scenario of, to kind of stay on topic, to help
Yeah.
you make sure that you don't lose your train of thought and not get across what you want to get across.
This is super dystopian, but I did this a couple weeks ago because I was going to have to deal with somebody in my life who was very narcissistic. And this is so cringy to say. I went on ChatGPT and I told it, this is the scenario, this is who you are, and this is how you'll respond. And at first it was like, I can't act like a narcissist and gaslight you, like that goes against what I'm telling. Like, I finally was like, this will help me in dealing with the actual narcissist in my life if you play this role. And so I sat on my couch and I talked to ChatGPT for 15 minutes, and it was the most narcissistic gaslighting thing in the world. And it like
helped you.
So what the cool thing is, this is so dystopian. I'm like having an out of body experience. There were certain points in the conversation where I would get like stuck. Like he's a good narcissist. ChatGPT's great. And but what you can do is I was like, okay, here's what I want to happen. How can I best accomplish this right now? ChatGPT is like, well, narcissists will continue to dig down. And for the sake of this, I'm not saying your husband's a narcissist. I truly believe there's a saying that I go by. It's never attributed to malice. It's best attributed to ignorance. It's possible he just doesn't know. It's possible he's prideful. But you can, paint this picture of pretend you're a working husband and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, he gave me a lot of answers. It's like, they will continue to circle around in the circumstance and dig in their position. You should stop engaging. The best thing you can do is assert your boundaries, and that will probably result in this person coming off balance, and then you can fully disengage. And that's exactly what happened. It was like to a T. The blueprint that ChatGPT laid out really happened in this conversation, and I held my ground, and I stood my boundaries, and I was like, look, this conversation is not productive. I'm done. We can have this conversation when you want to be, an actual participant. So, definitely have a friend, have somebody you can talk to. Back up. Practice. Don't be afraid to go through it in your head. Like, and
girl, message me again.
Yeah, message us, baby. We will help
Paige got heated. Go ahead and message her.
Oh my God, that pisses me off. That makes me so.
But thank you for sharing, because I know it's hard to come to that realization.
Thank you for being so brave. That takes a lot to share.
Yeah.
It feels so long.
That's just for her to share that way. I'm like, man, no, we got to talk about it.
Yeah, that's
so
wild.
Yes.
So
All right.
sorry,
And
baby.
communication. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
Jay. Don't y'all love having Jay here?
I do. It's nice to hear. He changes it up with your man, because he's like, well, we're two dads, and I just love it. All righty.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, this was fun today.
Yes, it was. Thank you for sharing that story. And this was really great. I loved everybody's perspective. So weigh in below if you guys have anything you would like to add. If you want to yell at Ben, go ahead and do so.
If you're upset at me, please chime in so that I can bring clarity and apologize.
But remember, we drop episodes every Tuesday.
Tuesday on all platforms, Spotify, Apple, and YouTube.
And then follow us on TikTok and Instagram.
Please.
And until next time, keep those giggles going.
And the love flowing. And as usual,
Mom knows best.
or at least she's trying her best.